I think that sometimes people who don't have friends who have visual impairments or aren't raised in an environment where people have visual impairments, they might think that anybody with a disability or person with a visual impairment is any different from them. And it's really not true. I think.
Hey everyone, it's Carrie from Live Accessible, and today I have Cassie from Allied Independence. She's also part of the planning committee. She's the head honcho of the Assistive Technology and Trends online conference. And so today we're just going to chat with her and learn a little bit about her and what she does. So hi Cassie, how are you doing today?
I am so good, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. Hi, everyone.
So Cassie, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I know you from the planning committee, just like you know me a little bit, but I don't really know much about you and who you are and what you do. So tell us a little bit.
Right. So you guys, we have this amazing conference coming up. As Carrie just said, we call it AT-TOC, and it's going to really help assistive technology specialists and people who are blind and visually impaired, and just anybody who cares about somebody who has a visual impairment, to really be on the forefront of what's coming up with technology. It's a completely virtual conference, so you get to be there at home, snuggled up in your jammies, warm cup of coffee in your hand, or whatever you like to drink, and we're going to have a really great time. But I'm not an assistive technology specialist, and I'm not really the head honcho. I'm just the person who's done this before for O&M specialists. So I had to start with that, and then we'll go backwards to I'm an orientation and mobility specialist, and I have been for 13, maybe 14 years now. And at some point along my journey, I had had 2 kids in 19 months, and I don't know if you guys at home have kids, but I know, Carrie, you do. And once you have kids, your ability to travel outside of your house without carrying those kids with you is finished. It is just gone. One of my friends was going to go overseas to an international O&M conference, and she was going to do a poster session, and I got so envious of her because it felt like she was going to get all these skills from all of these amazing international presenters that I wasn't going to get to have, simply because I couldn't leave my front door without 2 kids following me. And I couldn't afford to go. I was paying for 2 kids in daycare. As a teacher, my salary would not allow for that. So what did I do? I stalked that conference online, and I realized that a lot of my friends from college and I were all over the world, or we had already been all over the world. I had friends in India, I had a friend who'd gone to Romania, and I figured it wouldn't be so fun if we could just all get together on the internet and drink wine and talk about intersections. Luckily, some other people came in and structured my ideas a little bit more, and we formed a conference. At that time, I was working at a residential school that also put on conferences, so they helped me run the first one, and then I just couldn't give it up. It became like my passion. I didn't realize it was my passion until I started to have conversations with adults and really be immersed in the lives of adults with visual impairments and orientation and mobility specialists themselves. And so I started my own company, and we're a really small company. We just put on conferences for orientation and mobility specialists, and now for the Assistive Technology and Trends online conference. And behind the scenes, we help other entities only in the world of visual impairments put on their virtual conferences, now mostly due to COVID. And we have some lesson plans that we offer on a monthly basis and some courses, but really I'm just an O&M specialist who also figured out how to structure a small company and how to talk to people so that they cared about it.
That's awesome. And whatever you say, you're still the leader. But anyway, what made you become an O&M specialist?
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, picture this. I'm 21. I had joined the VI program at Florida State, and at Florida State, we were allowed to go to this conference, and the state of Florida paid for our expenses. You know, you got a per diem to help out with this conference. I think we were like doing childcare or something. Well, my friends and I figured out how to make it work that we showed up to this conference, and then the state of Florida paid for our, like, that night into the next morning. So we went out that night. And this was in Panama City. Oh, no, I wasn't even 21. I was under 21. I hope I'm not getting anybody in trouble. At the time, I had a friend who was older. I think he was a grad student. He had a visual impairment. And so we went out at night, his RP, and he brought his cane. Okay, so we're standing in line for this club. 2 20-year-olds and this guy who's supposed to be able to get in, but he also has a cane with him. And you could tell the bouncers were super flustered. So they let us in, too, with him. And then around 3 a.m., my girlfriend was dancing on the dance floor with some random person, and they were the last ones there. So I borrowed my friend's cane. It was a fold-up, probably aluminum cane. Anyway, I folded it up. I hiked it over my shoulder. Again, confronted by a bouncer who was like, where are you going with that little missy? And I was like, oh, I have permission from the owner of this cane. And then I said some explicitives about what I was going to do with the cane to the guy on the dance floor if he was not being a gentleman. And the big bouncer dude literally stepped to the side with his hands up and let me go onto the dance floor with his weapon. So I signed up for classes. Oh my God, what a crazy story, right?
Oh my goodness.
I know. I was like, I have to have one of these in my purse. It does not fit in the kind of purse that I had at that age because I didn't have a mom purse at that time. Didn't know that. But wow. There you go.
How long ago was that?
Oh, too many years ago now. I mean, hopefully everybody who's involved in that story is long past it.
So you've been in the O&M field for a good long while. Let's just put it that way. So what's something that you have learned about people who is visually impaired from your experience doing that?
Oh my gosh. If I have to nail this down into one, okay, give me a second. But there really are no differences is what's coming up for me. So I think that sometimes people who don't have friends who have visual impairments or aren't raised in an environment where people have visual impairments, they might think that anybody with a disability or person with a visual impairment is any different from them. And it's really not true. I think that the way that I do some things might be different from the way that, Carrie, you do them. But when we sit down, there's really fundamentally, we all have the same things going on. We all probably have some sort of imposter syndrome. We all have some sort of dedication. We all have wonders about our life and what it's going to bring and how we're going to accomplish our goals. That's kind of really what I think in total, if you make me narrow it down to one.
I love that. And I wish that, everyone who was sighted can realize that and really internalize that. So thank you for being one of those great sighted supporters in the community. I'm going to turn the tables on you, Cassie, because I always ask this to everybody who I interview too, is what is one piece of advice you can give from the sighted perspective to somebody who is visually impaired or blind?
That's so funny. You were just on my podcast and I asked the exact same thing and you were laughing. Now I know why you were laughing. Exact same question. They're so similar. I would say just keep going. Sometimes we can get tripped up in thinking that if we don't meet our goal right away, or if we set too big of a goal, or we don't see the fruition of the seed that we've planted, coming up already, that means anything about us. We are a failure. We shouldn't be doing this, anything negative, when really every single step forward is in the right direction. And sometimes that means that you take one step all the way over to the left and you have no idea why you're doing that. But it's a lesson, whether you keep going that way or whether you come back all the way to the right again, kind of like when you're stepping over stones in a river. It's not always in a straight line. Sometimes it's crooked. And if we can take a perspective to see much further down the road, instead of just, right where we are, of course, metaphorically, then we can see that just by taking one step at a time, we will get to our destination.
Wow, I love that. That is a lot of encouragement. Well, thank you, Cassie, for being on my channel. And definitely check out her podcast. It's called, what is it called? What is it called again?
Step Forward.
Okay.
I hope you don't edit that out. That's amazing.
No, I couldn't remember if it's just Step Forward or A Step Forward or The Step Forward.
I know. Somebody else already had The Step Forward. So I put A Step Forward. And they're like an occupational therapist.
Okay.
It's A Step Forward. And you can find out more at astepforward.com.
Yeah, so we also did a podcast on hers with me and her, just talking about my journey and everything like that. So go check that out as well, and I'll link that down in the description. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.